Um, I'm Miss Perkins, Miss P. My story, 2011, during our February break, I had just gotten off the highway from Lynn, Massachusetts. That's over an hour drive. And I was about to take a shower, butt naked, and I stepped in like this to go in, and all of a sudden, massive headache, the worst I ever felt, started from the back of my head and it moved around to the front. In the process, it happened really fast. My vision became blurry as the minutes progressed. The pain was excruciating, and I'm home by myself. I call a friend to pray for me. We start praying, the phone hangs up. I call my daughter. Before I called my friend, I called my daughter. I said, Africa, come here. There's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is. She came to my house. She just happened to be in town. She lives in Worcester. She happened to be in Fitchburg at that time. By the time she gets there, I'm vomiting. Because the pain is so excruciating, I'm throwing up. So I have a little plastic bag. She helps me dress. We go to the hospital. But I told her, tell the doctors, I think I'm having a stroke. I didn't know what was wrong. Excuse me. I get to the hospital, the emergency room. She told them my mom is having a stroke. They saw me right away. They did a CAT scan. They saw me hemorrhaging. I had a ruptured aneurysm in my right temporal. They brought me to UMass Medical in Worcester. They did a procedure. They tried to go through the groin to clip it, and they couldn't. Well, they tried to coil it, but it was too small and they couldn't coil it. So I had to have emergency surgery where they were able to go in and actually clip it to stop the bleeding. Aneurysms, I like to illustrate it as a water hose coming from the spigot. The more powerful, when you open up the water hose, the wider you open it, the more forceful the water comes out. When you close the spigot, it slows the force. An aneurysm it's a little protrusion from an artery that forms, it's a weak spot because the pressure is so high, when it comes through the arteries, it's coming at a higher pressure and it damages the arteries in some way. So what happens with an aneurysm, this is the aneurysm. It's the weak spot in the artery. What do you think happens when it bursts? One good gush, and all that blood is coming out, and that's a hemorrhage. And that's what happened to me. The procedure that they did, we have, okay, like my little drawing, we have major arteries in our groin area. They can literally take a microscopic tools and go up this groin and go anywhere in your body. As long as there's an artery, it will travel. And that's what they did. They pushed it all the way up. Let me go this way. And they tried to coil the aneurysm. So here's the aneurysm, the hump. It's ruptured. I could do this. And here's the blood gushing out. But what the coiling does is they'll come up. I'm going to use the blue marker now. What they'll do, they'll stick that microscopic coil all the way up, and they'll push it until it coils around itself. Do you see the coiling? And they keep pushing, they keep pushing, keep pushing. And what that does, it blocks that ruptured spot right there because it's coiled, so nothing else can pass through. Well, that's what they tried to do during the emergency hemorrhaging, but they couldn't get it. So they had to cut me open real good with the chainsaw, my little bone up there, pulled everything down, and they had to go in and clip it like a, not a paper clip, almost like a bobby pin. Literally clipped it. So I have a clip up here. How did I get to this place? I knew I had high blood pressure, but I was not taking my medication faithfully because I felt okay. I felt fine. High blood pressure, silent killer. It is damaging your arteries when it's untreated. That's too much force hitting our poor arteries anywhere in our bodies. Blood pressure needs to be controlled. When we don't take it, we don't know which arteries are being damaged until it's too late. Luckily, when they went in to coil and to clip, guess what? They found 2 more aneurysms ready to go. They had not ruptured, but they were sitting, both in my head. So I've had to have elective surgery. One of them, this one they were able to coil, so they went up. You're talking about weird. They sedated me, but I could see where they were traveling, and they were able to coil this so it would not rupture. But the one in my frontal lobe here, they could not coil. They said, Tracy, we're going to have to go in and do that one. So it was elective surgery. I asked them, I said, well, I'm single. Can you kind of cut in the same place you cut before? So I'm not looking like the Bride of Frankenstein. If you ever seen the Bride of Frankenstein, she was cut every which way. So they did. They literally did. But what happened to me with the emergency surgeries, when they go into your brain like that, it almost shifted. It almost put me in menopause because the trauma and the manipulation in an emergency situation kind of alters things a little bit. But I went through the surgery, and I have all my aneurysms, all 3 of them in my head, taken care of. Now all my children have to have MRIs because it is hereditary. My mother died, she was 32 years old when she had her aneurysm ruptured. She went into the emergency room, and this was back in the 1960s, where medicine was not as modern as it is today. They were not as quick. She never made it out. So my children have to have MRIs. Why? The reason I come and share this with you is because you are in the medical field. In your homes, you're on the front line for your family members. If you have loved ones that you know have high blood pressure, please encourage them to take their medication, even if they feel good. Because high blood pressure, now I'm very sensitive. I mean, I take my pill every day. I always take my pill. And if I know there's something stressing me and I'm not quite feeling, I'll step back. Because I've been under the knife twice, and I know what's going on with high blood pressure. So I want to encourage you guys, loved ones, friends, encourage them to take their medication. That medication is geared to keep the pressure at bay. That high blood pressure is damaging arteries that we know nothing about. And God forbid if it ruptures in the heart. I had mine in the head. And many people don't come back from that. The prognosis is never good. I am a walking miracle. And I know that. But again, you're on the front line in your homes, your families, because this is the field you're choosing. Please encourage them. We can't make anybody do anything, but encourage them. If they have to take high blood pressure medication and they want to live, encourage them to take it. There are a lot of times you could feel good. Oh, I don't need my pill today. Oh, I'm fine. I don't have a headache. I don't have any symptoms. A lot of times you won't have symptoms, but the damage is still being done. That's why they call it a silent killer. Doesn't always manifest itself until it's too late. And the prognosis is not always good. But for you, nursing, going into the medical field, nurse, doctor, whatever field, be on the front line for your families. Encourage them. Take the medication. Even if you feel good, you feel fine, you don't have any symptoms, take the medication. There's a silent war going on in the body, and we don't want it to win out. I'm glad that ruptured, because I didn't know I had 2 more waiting to go. I outlived my mother. She had the same thing. She didn't know it was hereditary. Now I know it's hereditary. My children have to get MRIs. And I still have CAT scans, MRIs, to make sure everything is in place. Okay? Heights, I don't do very well with. Airplanes, good gracious. Whew. Give me a scooter, I'll be all right. But I just want to share with you my story, but I also want you to know what I failed to do, and that was taking my medication. That did not have to happen. Okay? But encourage your loved ones. Even if they feel fine and they don't think they need to take the medication, if you ever have to take medication, take it. Live. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Can an aneurysm happen anywhere?
Yes, any artery. Any artery. You can get them in your stomach. You can get them anywhere, but the main arteries around the heart, that's why doctors listen to your heart. They can almost pick up certain things. But anywhere you have an artery. Brain aneurysms are common. The prognoses are not too good. Some brain aneurysms, the slightest move could almost kill you. But mine were small enough to where I was able to survive. But nonetheless, who wants to have hemorrhaging going on in the head? It's a dangerous thing. And sometimes you don't bounce back. My surgeon told me when I had to have the elective surgery for this, he made me write down all my passwords. Now, we're in a password culture. Everything has a password. My Social Security, my bank. He had me write down anything that has to do with numbers. He said, Tracy, write it down. He told me himself, he said, one slip of my hand and your memory is gone. Now, how do you think I felt? I cried from Worcester to Fitchburg on that 290 highway. I was in tears. But when I got to Fitchburg, a peace came over me and I was okay. But yes, I wrote down everything. I wrote all the numbers. I wrote them down. And here I am today teaching math. And out. So I'm a survivor, but I do take my medication. And I was self-conscious. I didn't want to have a pill box. I didn't want to go that way because I felt like an old lady. You got had the pill. But honey, give me 5 of them. People were buying pill boxes for me. Tracy, you need a pill box. Take your medicine. Yes, I have a bunch of pill boxes at home. And I take my medication. Why? Because I want to live. And I want to live on my feet, having the use and activities of my limbs in my right mind, thanks to medication. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. But encourage your loved ones. And I say this. Oh, and I want to share this before I go. We have a colleague in this building. I shared this story with him. He wasn't feeling too good. And I asked him, I said, how's your blood pressure? He said, oh, well, I'm supposed to do this, but I ain't got time. I said, hold it. I said, let me tell you my story. Do you know the following week he came to my room? He said, Tracy, I want to thank you for your story, your testimony. He said, my doctor put me on blood pressure medication. And he says, I already feel the difference. I said, good, you'll live. I said, be faithful to it. Even if you feel good, there are many days when you feel good. Because when your blood pressure gets regulated, you do feel better. You feel fine, as you're supposed to. But when we stop taking it, whew, it'll shoot up, and you don't want to do that. So I have a story. Not only are you hearing it, but he just told me last week, he said, Tracy, thank you. He is on his medication. I said, we need you around here a little longer. Take your pill, honey, take your pill. It's all right. And sometimes I carry my medication with me. I have a little pill box, a little portable one in my pocketbook. So if I forget to take it before I leave, I'll take my legal medication, you know, take my little tea and take my medication. Why? Because I want to live. And that high blood pressure is a silent killer. Don't ever forget it. It's silent, and it's doing damage when it's uncontrolled. So encourage your loved ones. I know I sound like a parrot. Encourage your loved ones. They may not listen to anybody else, but you're on the front line in your homes, your community, your sphere of influence. Encourage them to take the medication. Even when they feel good, take it anyway. Keep the pressure down. Save your arteries. No wear and tear. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.